Hello and welcome to the first week of Season 21, Season of the Deep, starting on May 23rd, 2023. So for week 1, let's have a look at our legacy rotation, starting with the Forsaken expansion.
Ready if you are. Let's see what's out there.
The Dreaming City this week is at a strong curse level, which means Petrovenge can be found in Ria Silvia, and has the Dark Monastery mission for the next week. The Blind Well features Taken Enemies and the Plague Inomina. The Ascendant challenge this week will be Ouroboros, which can be located over in the Aphelions Rest Lost sector on the Dreaming City. Next up, the Shadowkeep expansion. On the Moon, the weekly story mission is in the Deep. The Trove Guardian and the Wandering Nightmare, Jax, Claws of Zivora Wrath, are both located at the Hellmouth. And the Nightmare hunts this week will be Crota, Despair, Fogoth, Fear, and Ghoul, Rage. For our Beyond Light expansion, on Europa this week, Praxix the Technocrat will be the Empire Hunt, Cadmus Ridge will be the Eclipse Zone, and the Exo Challenge will be Safeguard. For the 30th anniversary expansion, we have the loot rotation for Dares of Eternity, which will be on week 1's rotation with the Scatterhorn armor set and the Wild Hunt armor set being available. The weapons available this week will be the Arc Lightweight Frame Bow Arsenic Bite 4B, the Arc Adaptive Frame Heavy Grenade Launcher Blast Batu, the Solar Precision Frame Linear Fusion Rifle Corsair's Wrath, the Void Waveframe Energy Grenade Launcher Deafening Whisper, the Kinetic Adaptive Frame Hand Cannon Dire Promise, the Kinetic Precision Frame Sidearm Enigma's Draw, the Kinetic Lightweight Frame Submachine Gun Escape Velocity, the Arc Adaptive Frame Pulse Rifle Giant 7 Rifle, the Kinetic Precision Frame Submachine Gun Friction Fire, the Void Precision Frame Scout Rifle Royal Chase, the Kinetic Aggressive Frame Hand Cannon True Prophecy, and the Solar Adaptive Frame Fusion Rifle Timeline's Vertex. For the Witch Queen expansion, the Witch Queen weekly story mission is The Ritual, where the modifiers are Galvanized, Biopit, Void Threat, Solar and Strand Surge, Overcharged Grenade Launcher, as well as Barrier and Unstoppable Champions. Also this week you will have Altar of Reflection Catalyst and Altar of Reflection Pact. The Wellspring activity has been updated to include a featured Throne World weapon, Veritas Armor, and a weapon pattern as its rewards. For the Lightfall expansion, the weekly mission is Breakneck, with extra shields, lock loadouts, and extra champions. Barrier, Overload, and Unstoppable champions, Void Threat, Pestilence, Kinetic Overcharge, Strand and Solar Surges, with overcharged rocket launchers and galvanized on hero difficulty only. The Partition mission will be Hard Reset, Contest Mode enabled, with Barrier and Unstoppable champions, Arc Threat, Scorched Earth, Pestilence and Martyr modifiers, Void and Strand shields, with Void and Strand surges. And the Vex incursion this week will be Liming Harbour. In addition, the weekly Lightfall reset also refreshes the Pinnacle drop for the Node Override Avalon exotic mission on the EDZ. Raids and Dungeons. The Root of Nightmares raid challenge this week is the first encounter, Cataclysm, called Illuminated Torment. This is where every Tormentor must be killed by a player with the Field of Light buff. The King's Fall raid challenge this week is the first encounter, Totems, called The Grass is Always Greener. Players cannot take the same brand type twice in a row. The Vow the Disciple challenge this week is the second encounter, the Caretaker, called Base Information, where runners cannot pick up more than one stack of knowledge on each run. The Vault of Glass challenge this week is the second encounter, Oracles, called The Only Oracle for You. Players cannot destroy the same Oracle more than once. The Deepstone Crypt challenge this week is the fourth encounter, Tanix, called The Core 4. Guardians must dunk all 4 cores before each DPS phase. And the Garden of Salvation challenge this week is the second encounter, Spire Defense, called A Link to the Chain. This is where all Guardians must receive the Enlighten buff at the same time. Your Pinnacle raid will be the Last Wish over on the Dreaming City, which means all challenges will be available for each encounter. These are the first encounter, Kali, called Summoning Ritual. Players must activate and cleanse all 9 plates, then kill all 9 knights and ogres before damaging Kali. The second encounter, Shirochi, called Witch Witch. Guardians must not get hit or take damage from Shirochi's Arc Blast. The third encounter, Morgoth, called Forever Fight. Players must not kill the small ogres during the encounter. The fourth encounter, Vault, called Keep Out. Guardians must ensure that no Might of Riven Knights make it to the centre chamber during the Vault fight. And the fifth encounter, Riven, called Strength of Memory. where Guardians must not shoot the same Riven Eye twice. Also, with the Last Wish being the featured raid, this does mean that you can farm the final boss for a chance at the exotic heavy fusion rifle, 1000 Voices. And the Pinnacle dungeon for this week will be the Duality, over on the Derelict Leviathan on the Moon. Next up, challenges. As this is a new season, the challenges won't be available until the Season of the Deep goes live in game. And this is also the same for the Eververse store for week 1. But stay tuned to this channel for the updated week 1 video for any missed information.
Hello!
Also, with this being a new season, we will have a legendary Lost Sector shakeup, meaning we won't know the order of the Lost Sectors until we've had a full rotation. But as a reminder, your daily Lost Sector will show you a flag outside, which will give you details of threats, shields, champions and exotic armor you will find inside. But if you're new to the game or you're using an alternate character and can't find the flag outside, you will have to run through the Lost Sector normally to have it show up on your map as a Legend/Master, which you can either do solo or with a fire team, but you'll only be able to earn a chance at the exotic drop when completing solo.
Lead the way.
Our first featured Nightfall of the season will see us face off against Sepkis Prime in the Devil's Lair Nightfall over on the Cosmodrome, where you have a chance to get a Pinnacle engram if you complete the Nightfall with a score of 200k or more. This Nightfall is free to play. You'll be able to earn high-end gear for your characters, including the Nightfall featured weapon, exotic gear, enhancement cores, enhancement prisms, ascendant shards and adept Nightfall ciphers. The higher the Nightfall difficulty, the more common the drop will be, with the featured weapon and exotic gear being uncommon at hero difficulty to being common with ascendant shards in Grand Masters. Legend and lower Nightfalls will have 4 barrier and 8 overload champions, with 5 solar, 8 void and 17 arc shields. Masters will have 4 barrier and 15 overload, with 5 solar, 8 void and 8 arc shields. Your Nightfall modifiers are hero difficulty, maximum effective level 1765, matchmaking is available, enemies have extra shields, champions foe, you will face barrier and overload champions, you can either use intrinsic exotics, use a subclass debuff or unlock anti-champion mods from the seasonal artifact. Arc threat, 25% increase to incoming arc damage. Arachno, when defeated Fallen Vandals spawn a web mine at their feet. Overcharge weapons, weapons overcharged from the seasonal artifact are active in this activity. Kinetic weapons do increase damage when your subclass element matches the active surge. Void Surge, 25% bonus to outgoing void damage. Strand Surge, 25% bonus to outgoing strand damage. Overcharged Linear Fusion Rifle, 25% bonus damage to Linear Fusion Rifle damage. Galvanized, combatants have more health and are more difficult to stun. Legend difficulty, maximum effective level 1815, includes all previous modifiers except Galvanized. No matchmaking. Equipment locked, you'll be unable to change your equipment once the mission starts. Master difficulty, maximum effective level 1820, includes all previous modifiers except Galvanized. Champions mob, this difficulty adds more champion enemies. And Togetherness, base health regen is reduced, if near another player health regen is increased. To combat champions this season you have access to subclass counters as well as a choice of intrinsic anti-champion artifact mods, which are Anti-Barrier Auto Rifle, Overload Scout Rifle, and Overload Trace Rifle. You also have exotic weapons and armor that can help with intrinsic mods as well. For Anti-Barrier, the Kinetic Bow Wishender, the Kinetic Linear Fusion Rifle Arbalest, the Kinetic Pulse Rifle Revision 0, the Solar Energy Hand Cannon Ariana's Vow, the Solar Heavy Sword the Lament, and the Titan Exotic Gauntlet Second Chance, which gain a second charge of your shield throw melee, which becomes shield piercing and stuns barrier champions. And for Overload, the Void Energy Bow Le Monarch, the Arc Energy Linear Trace Rifle Divinity, the Arc Heavy Machine Gun Thunderlord, and the Warlock Exotic Boots the Secant Filaments, which when you drop an Empowering Rift, any weapon that is fired from inside the well can cause an Overload champion to be stunned. And the Grand Master Nightfalls will return on June 27th. Lord Shaxx brings Momentum Control to the Crucible playlist for the first week of the season. Momentum Control is a 6v6 PvP mode which is a variation on the regular control mode, where every weapon is significantly higher in lethality, meaning that you can take out your opponents much faster than normal. Respawns are instant, and defeating enemy players in Momentum Control will grant faster regen on your melee, grenade and super. Players get increased damage resistance when they activate a super, to help counteract that little bit of extra damage that the guns give out. The mode also has increased capture speeds on points and radar is removed for every player. Achieve victory by capturing zones and defeating opponents. And Rift will also be returning this week in the Relentless Crucible playlist. Rift is a 6v6 game mode that focuses heavily on objective-based gameplay and not just killing the enemy team. Instead of accruing points based on defeating enemies, players can score points by picking up the spark and dunking it into their opponent's rift, which is near the enemy spawn. A team can either win by scoring 5 points before the opposing team can, by scoring 3 points without the enemy team getting a look in, or having more points when the time runs out. The spark spawns in the centre of the map and starts to charge after 6 seconds of the round starting, and becomes visible for all players on the map. After another 12 to 13 seconds, the spark is available for players to pick up, giving both teams approximately 20 seconds to fight over the spark before either side can pick it up. For 5 seconds after a player picks up the spark, they become marked on both teams' maps. After that, they are only marked on their own team's map unless they are in view of the enemy team. The carrier can only hold on to the spark for 1 minute and 15 seconds. After that, the spark detonates, killing the carrier and those around them before resetting. Should the carrier die in any way that isn't from the spark detonating, the spark drops at that location. If a player picks up the spark whilst in their super, they are immediately pulled out of their super. Furthermore, they will not gain more super energy while holding the spark and will be unable to use their super even if it is fully charged. If a player dies, they must wait 10 seconds before they respawn, but their teammates can revive them during this time. This forces the players to focus on teamwork to help push up on their enemies, but can also leave some players out of the game for an extended duration if their team can't or won't revive them.
Delightful!
Trials of Osiris will be returning this season with some new loot to chase, like the unexpected Resurgence Glaive and the returning Messenger Pulse Rifle. There are also some new rewards for players who make it to the Lighthouse and open the chest. These include the Hero's Wake exotic Ghost Shell, the Valiant Memory exotic Ship, the Survivor's Journey exotic Sparrow, and the new Trial shader Glorious Patina. And this season will see Trials of Osiris Dominion. Trials continues to be a 3v3 PvP high stakes game mode, but with the twist of a capture point. In Dominion, 2 teams of 3 go head to head in a battle for control of a capture point. Teams can either work together to capture the point, or eliminate the enemy team to win the round. Only available from Friday reset until Tuesday weekly reset, Trials gives every player the chance to show off their PvP skills to obtain some of Destiny's most sought after weapons and armour. Players that compete in Trials of Osiris will have all of their games tracked through a passage card, a ticket purchased from Saint 14 in the lower hangar of the tower. Winning rounds and matches in Trials will grant exclusive weapons, armour, Pinnacle gear, Masterwork material, and even Adept gear for the most skilled players who can reach the Lighthouse with a flawless ticket of 7 games won and no losses. 5 round wins will bag you that match for your passage card. By competing in Trials, you do have a chance to pick up 2 Pinnacle engrams from playing each week, one from 50 round wins and the other from winning 7 games. These do not have to be done all in one go, but you do have to complete them before the weekly reset.
That is amazing.
And that's it for the first week of Season of the Deep. Thank you for watching. Allons-y.
Guardian down.